वेलकम टू आवर नेशन स्टेट डायलॉग सीरीज राष्ट्र राज्य संवाद श्रृंखला में आपका स्वागत है. I'm Dr. Geeta Kocham, moderator for today's discussion. Today it's our pleasure to have with us a renowned scholar of China, Professor Shen Dingli. He's the founder and director of China's first non-government-based program on arms control and regional security. As a key independent academic voice in China in arms control and non-proliferation, Professor Shen has been invited to numerous conferences and he has organized more than 36 international conferences. He was pioneer in the Shanghai Dialogue, or what we call it as Shanghai Initiative, a high-level track-through series of meetings since 1994, which involved China, India, Pakistan, and United States. He received his PhD in physics in 1989 and did his postdoctorate in arms control at Princeton University from 1989 to 1991. He has published many books and has a lot of accolades. To name a few of his works is China's Development Report, China and South Asian Relations in the 1990s, Conservatism and American Foreign Policy, Realism and U.S. Foreign Policy, and so on and so forth. And he has published more than, I think, 500 articles or something. So he's one of the best in China, I think so. So welcome, Professor Shen, to our Nation State Dialogue series. And we invite a lot of scholars from India and abroad and experts on related fields of geopolitics, international relations, Chinese language, and India-China relations. So thank you very much for joining our program today.
Thank you very much, Geeta. It's my great honor to be invited to your dialogue. Thank you.
So let's start from something which is very hot and we know about it is, Trump has come to power now. So there are going to be a lot of global and regional changes in the world. And how do you see that? I mean, I'm just talking on a very broad scale right now. Yeah.
Well, I think Trump has its commitment to make America great again. That is to restore American greatness in innovation, in production, in exportation, etc. He may be less interested in engaging with the world and to make America to more focus on domestic affairs. Then to your question, what would be the impact on regional and global affairs? On global affairs, he might be less interested in climate change issues. And he may think on regional matter. Iranian nuclear issue is not reversible. He may not be keen in pushing the envelope that Iran would be in the loop. The United Nations initiative to make Iran to be free of nuclear weapon proliferation. He would not like Iran to develop a nuclear weapon, but he may also try to less engage Iran, just contain Iran, less encourage Iran. And he may think in Northeast Asia, North Korea is a virtual nuclear weapon state. And he may not be truly committed in taking a realistic approach to denuclearize North Korea. And he either want to make a holistic approach, so North Korea would abandon all nuclear weapon. And to my view, it's impossible. Or to disengage North Korea at all. So he is such a person that he pushes every other country in order to maximize American interest. He may be less interested in leading the world, in making Americans friends, competitors, rivals, to be interested in dialoguing with America in order to sustain their own interest. So in my view, he could significantly change the world by making America not to be a true leader of the world. That had been established, especially through the Second World War. And so in the future, America would less engage with the world. But America may have more internal development, infrastructure, innovation, job production, and AI-based exportation. So American would be great domestically, but probably less great globally. This is what I may expect.
Yeah, but I mean, talking about the larger thing, I think most of the Indians and the world are focusing on U.S. and China relations, and that is also one of the keen interests that we have to understand about how U.S. and China relations will evolve in the future, especially when Xi Jinping ji is talking about um, gaining back Taiwan. So there would be U.S. posture on Taiwan, which we have seen in the last few years. And it would be, posturing on, the talk that is about sanctions on the EV industry of China. So how do you see these two things happening from the Trump coming to power?
As I mentioned, he less care about the world.
Mm.
During his first term of presidency, he made it clear Hong Kong is a part of China. Hong
Yeah.
Kong issue is of the sovereignty of China. So it has nothing to do with America. If China, mainland China, wants to bring a national security law to Hong Kong, it has nothing to do with America. America should not be excited. America should not intervene. That's cheering China's internal event. I appreciate his clear-cut view, but many might be disappointed because America is disengaging with the world, is willing to see China would do whatever it wants to do in Tibet, in Xinjiang, in Hong Kong, that makes some who claim to love China, and therefore they venture to intervene into China's above-mentioned internal affairs, feel gloomy. But Trump is such a person. It's not American business. But what he wanted from China, buying more, hiring more from America. So he wants to make more American unemployed to be re-employed because China would be interested in buying more, in importing more from America. So making deal, exporting more to China, less intervening into China. And lately, he has also made it clear Taiwan has taken advantage from America by making its own chip-making industry so great, to make American chip-making and exportation so less great. So maybe Taiwan has unfairly hurt America. So under this base, why Taiwan is keen in securing American security protection, Taiwan should do more to make America to be happy in protecting Taiwan. He does not say his new term, his new administration would not be intervening into Taiwan issue, but he deluded. He may be a little different from the previous U.S. government. So this is what I would expect. He may or may not intervene into Taiwan issue if the situation become deteriorated. I personally predicted he would still intervene, but he pretend he may not be intervening as many would wish. So Taiwan should buy his protection by paying money to America. Taiwan should build its own defense. Like a NATO country should spend 2% of their GDP for their military budget. Otherwise, don't expect America as the head of the NATO alliance to do what Americans should do. If you guys would not do what you should do, why expect America to do what America may not want to do? So these days, all NATO members have paid 2% of their GDP for their defense. He is saying again, you guys need to pay 4% of GDP for your defense. And Taiwan should pay 10% of its GDP for its defense. Otherwise, don't expect America. America has no obligation to defend you. And this may scare NATO, may scare those European countries. They are committed in helping Ukraine to resist Russia's aggression. And he is delivering similar, vague, ambiguous messages to everybody, to Japan, to South Korea, and to Canada, to Australia, and to Ukraine. You need to pay more. Eventually, he may still commit to defend the above-mentioned state and regions. I mean, Taiwan is not a country. But he would pressurize these friends that you do good job, that America is willing to help you. And you need to import more rather than taking advantage that you export more and import less from America. He is pressuring Germany, Japan, and China to do this. Of course, China is, in his view, is not a friend of the U.S. Therefore, U.S. He thinks U.S. has been hurt by China's ever-expanding exportation to U.S., ever-expanding trade surplus. So U.S. is incurring ever-expanding trade deficit. He thinks this is unfair. Therefore, he would launch a trade war, as he has exercised in his first term. And he said for his second term, he may impose new tariff as high as 60% on China. And if China would do nothing on fentanyl, he would impose 10% of fentanyl tariff on day one of his new tenure. So this is what I have heard, I have observed, and I would speculate.
So in one sense, what you are saying is Trump is basically a more realist person who's going to be more transactional in nature vis-a-vis US interest is coming, because when he's asking even Taiwan to pay for its security. So we really are hoping there would be no US-China, clash of interest or conflict on Taiwan issue as such, unless until Taiwan is really willing to shell out a huge sum from its GDP for its own protection, right? But one of the things which you just mentioned, that Trump is not really keen on China. It doesn't look China as a close ally or something like that. How do you see that Trump is calling President Xi Jinping to come for his inauguration ceremony? He has not called any of the other allied partners in sense of Russia, or I mean, we were thinking that Putin is more close to Trump. But he's not invited them. And so do you think President Xi Jinping will be visiting, or what would that be like?
Trump is a kind of uncommon person that we are not accustomed to.
Yeah,
he seems
quite
to be
unpredictable. Absolutely.
He tried to make people guessing, not to make people to be able to predict his behavior to his advantage. He either never know what he would like to do, therefore others would not know, or he tried to conceal his true intent by saying something that is not his real intent. So this is my expectation. He might be real Trump. That is, he has no idea. Or he calculated like an AI. He tried not to make others know what he is thinking about. He's too smart to make others too unsmart. So he could be either of these two categories. I do not know. But I know one thing. He wants to make America great again. He said what he truly believes. He wants to make America to have a job, to have money. Money not from to levy more tariff from rich people. This is something America has done for a long time. But in the future, he wants to reduce such a tariff. So rich people may pay less tariff. Then government would have less money to help those who need. But how to make up for such a deficient financial capability? He wants to make American people to have a job. Therefore, they would raise themselves rather than depend upon the state. But how to have a job? By buying more domestically, the so-called domestic consumption, and selling more to other countries. So U.S. is the number one buying country. China is the number two buying country. Could U.S. continue to keep buying from China while China increasing what it could buy from the U.S.? He does not refuse the U.S. importation from China because this can make American poor people more affordable to live better life. Many people have the misunderstanding. Trump's trade war on China could hurt America. In my view, this is wrong idea. He tried to make American poor people to be hurt in a short while. Then China would be coerced to cooperate with China, and China would buy more. So eventually, American poor people would pick up a job again by feeding themselves rather than by depending upon the nation. So American government would be rich again because the poor people would pay tax, the income tax, and the company would pay the company income tax. Of course, for a short while, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but for a long time, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, America would be far better off than it could potentially incur some short-term kind of difficulty. I think I understand him than anyone on the earth, than he himself. He certainly welcomed more from China to be exported to the U.S., but on the condition trade imbalance cannot expand. China need to keep a pace to buy more from America with the pace that China is expanding to export to China. So this is what he wants to do. For this, I understand him, I support him, I sympathize with him. I disagree with many Americans who could not understand him. I disagree with Chinese government and most Chinese who cannot understand him. I think he is not an isolationist. He tries to use the methodology, which looks like as an isolationist type, in order to be a globalist, sending more to China, accepting more to China, reducing the trade imbalance, but eventually China can be better off by winning more, and the U.S. would not lose more. I think now America understand him. They give him full endorsement. He won not only the electoral college vote, he won the majority popular vote. He received the cross spectrum support. But still, there are many Americans who cannot agree with him, and some want to kill him. And most of the Chinese cannot understand him. But I think I understand him. He is a good guy. He wants to make American people not to depend on the nation, but to depend upon themselves. He wants to make those people to be able to depend upon themselves. This is a fundamental way. This has been in big contrast with approach that American Democrats, they want to have a bigger government. They want to have a bigger tariff. They want to make rich people poorer without making poor people to be able to be rich by themselves. I think that is a wrong approach. The current democratic approach is a wrong approach. They only make America more and more in economic crisis. Fundamentally, if people are rich, then nations are rich, not the other round. Nation is rich, then people is rich. Therefore, China needs to face his pressure again. I'm so glad Chinese leader called him 2 times to what he has leaked. Chinese official source has not leaked anything. Normally, we would say at the invitation of American president, we picked up our phone to have a conversation. We feel we are great. We don't talk to you. You want to talk to us. So we are so grateful by allowing you to talk to us. I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
How to make China great? We need to call him in the first place, rather than wait to be called. If he never called, like President Biden, becoming president on January 20th, 2021, he waited 10 months before he called the Chinese side. And we may wait for 4 years without addressing him because he never called us. No, we should call him. I'm glad we called. I'm not glad that we do not tell Chinese people that we called. Because we seem to have educated people. It's not great to call foreigner first. It's great to be called. No, that's if this is our purpose, I think we were wrong. But this time, we fixed our tradition. We called in the first place soon after the election on November the 5th. And Trump tweeted again on December the 9th, and he said, 3 days ago, a Chinese side called him again, which means China made a second call on December the 6th. Great. I must give a big praise to my leader. This make China great again. Wait to be called. Wait to be called, make China not great. Call in the first place. Let me
think President? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, continue.
Let me finish. Then he must be happy, and he may have some impulse. What about inviting Chinese leader? He is unpredictable. Unpredictable. I think great. I want to go because it's my success to be invited. I think Putin would not be invited. And Prime Minister Modi may or may not be invited. If I am the only one to be invited, I feel thrilled. So I think we should thank him for inviting us. But if he would not invite us, we should not feel bad. From the official record of the U.S. State Department, the U.S. has not invited a foreign dignitary to participate in any president's inauguration from 1874. No invitation, that's normal. Invitation, abnormal, but it's a good message. But we still have a right not to accept the invitation. I predict that my leader would not accept. But for his graciousness, he may dispatch his deputy, his envoy, vice president, or foreign ministry. And normally we send our ambassador in Washington. Could we send anyone who has a high level? I think that could show China's great graciousness to respond to President Trump's graciousness. Graciousness to graciousness. We should go. But the greatest graciousness is for my president to go. But how Trump can accord even great graciousness? Could he remove the tariff he imposed from 2018, which is still in place? Could he remove? Could he promise never impose 60% of the new tariff? Could he remove the chip punishment? Could he
Sanctions, yeah.
extend graciousness by committing to one China principle rather than one China policy? He can do many things to make our leader to be truly touched, to feel it's a historical moment. If I don't go, I lose opportunity. I think now we have such an unprecedented opportunity that need to be further substantialized by Mr. Trump to make us to have a true confidence that not only we give him politeness, graciousness, he would behave totally different from his first presidency, different from a Biden presidency, to make China-U.S. to open a new page. I hope he would do. I hope my president would not squander this great opportunity.
Okay, so I mean, we've talked a lot about U.S.-China relations, and I would want to move to India as a focus, and especially we are doing it from India. I mean, that is one of the focus that we have in India about how India-China relations are progressing, and we know that past few years there have been obstacles due to the border problem, as we all know. And we also know that our Ajit Doval has just gone to China, so there are going to be special representative talks. So how do you see the prospects of resolution and the future of India-China relations, and what progress do you see in the SR talks that might happen, or do you see any hope, or still there are going to be a lot of troubles to resolving all of these border issues and rethinking about India-China relations? Yeah.
All depends upon our wisdom, our commitment. Do we want a stable China-Indian relationship? Indians say yes, China say yes. But I think we are not smart to make a stability to be here. Or we may have vicious heart. We say we want, but actually we don't want. And we make every effort to make a better relationship. I really do not know whether we are vicious or we are benign. If I were leader, Chinese leader, or Indian leader, what I would propose is we should have a border, but in several sects, we do not have an agreed border. We have our different understanding of line of actual control. China has our line, and we may not want to let India know where the line is, because we want to have some benefit. You may have your line of actual control, and you may or may want to have this line to be understood by Chinese. Whatever, we don't know where the two lines lie. Therefore, our patrol may intentionally or unintentionally intrude into your line of actual control. and your patrol may intentionally or unintentionally intrude into our area of line of actual control. Then, when we meet, we collide. When we feel you are vicious, we would fight with fist, with rod, with gun, short of bullet. I think we should present clearly where the line of actual control lies, rather than to keep it hidden, to keep it invisible and not understandable. First, tell each other where the line is. Second, and demarcate the line. Of course, our lines are different. No matter we accept or not, we demarcate jointly. So you put the frontier kind of a marker with the Chinese participation. We put our marker with your participation. And then we define the middle zone, the zone defined by our two lines, which are not overlapping, as demilitarized zone, like DMZ in the 38th parallel, where only farmer, only peasants, only animal live peacefully, happily, but they are under danger because a gun from either side are pointing to them. But any government employee, police, military, will be disallowed to enter. We use monitor, we use drone, we use satellites to monitor. In case of any violation, we prompt each other to explain and to fix the violation. Then we never resolve the border issue because we never have an agreed borderline. But we have understanding where the two respective line of actual control lie. And we define the central zone as a forbidden zone. Only civilian people can live there peacefully for their rural life, farmer life. No government people, no military people can be ever permitted to enter, to be fully monitored. So easy. If I were Chinese leader, I would propose this to India. Indian side cannot refuse. If Indian leader would propose to Chinese leader, Chinese leader cannot refuse. So we keep our area of the borderline never to be settled. But for 10,000 years, we would never have a collision. But I think neither side want to do what I have proposed. I truly challenged their vow that they are genuine to want to have the border area peaceful and tranquil. For peace and tranquility, do what I have proposed. That's my answer.
Okay, so we were just, talking about, as you were trying to say that, it should be a demilitarized zone. And, probably that is one way we can resolve India-China problems. But having said that, I mean, I do understand that we have already disengaged on India-China, border, and there are prospects that we want to have better relations next year, that is 2025. We are planning to even have the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations. So India-China are both going to have certain events and, certain kinds of engagement. Do you really feel that, the problem of resolving is not just about the nitty-gritties, it's also about the political will of the leaders? So how would they progress in, in this direction? Is there any directive from the Chinese side that you can, give insights to?
I mentioned we should build a wall like that between North Korea and South Korea.
Okay.
Like that between U.S. and Mexico. The war in Korea is not a border. It's an area, a zone, dividing the two countries from waging a war. So physically, their military cannot enter the zone. President Trump wants to build a physical wall. So physically, people across the border cannot penetrate with each other. China-India does not have a border, but we should build a physical zone divided by physical wall in order to prevent the government people, military people from entering the zone. That does not resolve the border issue because we still don't have a border, but we have a zone that covers the border, that is wider than the border, that prevents people from entering. Otherwise, if we reopen the visa issuance, reopen the direct flight, but sooner or later, Indian troops could penetrate into the zone, or Chinese troops could penetrate into the zone. China may worry India may not observe the rule. India may worry Chinese military may not honor their commitment. And then we may meet, and we may fight with a fist, with a rod, with a weapon, with a gun, with a bullet. So we need to build a permanent zone of disengagement. No physical chance to meet with each other and to say, you violate the rule or I violate the rule. Without this, no political trust can be established for good. So I am not optimistic for any long time enduring re-engagement of two countries in the short term. So we may celebrate the 70th anniversary, the 75th anniversary of whatsoever, but we could fight with each other again. As China may detect Indian troops may secretly sneak into the area, and the Indian side may monitor. Chinese military may sneak into the zone, which the other side may vow not to enter, but you detect the other side has violated. Let's build a zone and monitored by respective monitor drone and UN monitoring facility. And then we may make a peace, physical peace, forever. That peace is not built on our agreed settlement where the accepted border lies, but built on that we freeze the disagreement forever, for 50 years, for 200 years. But during that period, no man can be permitted to enter. That would be fixed by by one zone, two walls. That can be as wide as 1,000 kilometers or 2,000 kilometers, as that has been built by Trump and somehow dismantled by Biden. And I trust will be rebuilt by Trump. This is the physical foundation for our political confidence.
Okay.
Were not
So
for
let's move
that, not possible for enduring confidence.
Yeah, I mean, building trust and confidence is one of the main things that we really need to, push towards. And I think I am hopeful that, both sides are really working towards it. Let's move to something else that we've been really talking about in terms of the global, scenario is BRICS, right? And I mean, there's new focus in altering global relations based on BRICS and everything. And specifically, the China-Russia relations and China-Russia-India relations, they have undergone a drastic change, So what role do you see BRICS will play in future in bilateral and multilateral relations? And will it be able to make any difference into what we are calling about de-dollarization, and whether that would reshape any financial institutions and things like that? Yeah.
To be blunt, in my view, BRICS is meaningless, has no future.
Okay.
Because in BRICS, we have initially 5 members, now 10 members. Even for 2 members, China and India, they are unwilling to have direct flights.
Yeah.
And to issue visas. What is the relevance for a 2-member BRICS? As long as we have no trust, no chance to work on economy, finance, education, and sports, music economy, it's meaningless. De-dollarization, China abandon dollar, not possible. China weighs U.S. more heavily than it weighs India. India probably engage China more than engaging with the U.S. But India weighs the U.S. more heavily on political, military, defense, strategic issues than with China. How India would abandon U.S. dollar to please China? And China would abandon U.S. dollar to welcome rupee. Totally ridiculous. As long as China, India has no trust. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, China waged border war with Soviet Union in Damascus, in Usuli, in Heilongjiang. What China envision a BRICS, including China, Soviet Union, that abandon U.S. dollar? China does not like U.S. dollar. China also hate Soviet ruble. We would do de-rubleization, de-dollarization. And now China, Russia working together, abandon U.S. dollar. I think China loves U.S. dollar far more than loving Russian ruble. Russia loves the U.S. dollar far more than loving Chinese RMB. Purely because the U.S. kicks Russia out of the SWIFT. Russia has no choice to work with China. If they have a choice, an only choice, they would choose U.S., not China. If China has choice, only choice, China would choose the U.S. rather than Russia. U.S. is so foolish to make them to have no choice. They have to partner. They don't trust each other, but they have to work each other. And Trump welcomes Chinese leader to join his inauguration without inviting Russian leader. That would make a Chinese leader unable to participate, because we don't want to make a Russian leader to think we deceive them by presenting a de-dollarization, but actually we want to have a dollarization, but a de-rubleization. So now U.S. leader is becoming more smart. He would not be successful unless he would do de-Taiwanization, not to give weapon to Taiwan, not to send the U.S. military troops to Taiwan. Until that time, the U.S. would press China to present a pseudo, faked de-dollarization. China would always to have dollarization, de-rubleization, never de-dollarization. China uses a pseudo de-dollarization to press the U.S. to abandon Taiwan. And the U.S. would eventually abandon Taiwan. Maybe 10 years later, 20 years later, in my lifetime's span, U.S. would do. And China would be happy. Because I present a de-dollarization. So U.S. eventually weigh the relative benefits of dollarization and Taiwanization. So eventually, U.S. choose us. So it's a purely China's temporary tactics, not a long-term strategy. U.S. would never worry about because China, India would never agree. India would not accept to de-dollarize. Russia would eventually finish its business in Ukraine and
India has
would
clearly
be
stated that. Yeah.
and would be re-embraced by U.S. And now Trump returned. Trump would never abandon Ukraine, but Trump would embrace Russia again. China would be worried about. Trump welcome China to keep a distance with Russia. Trump would embrace Russia to keep a distance with China. So Trump could be a master of GR politics, GR economics, GR strategy. So to make America first, China second, Russia third, India fourth. If China would join the inauguration, so there is some distrust between China and Russia. If Russia would be free from the disaster in Ukraine, so Russia would be waived from SWIFT sanction. So Russia would use again more dollar than RMB. Russia does not trust China. China does not trust Russia. India does not trust China. And China does not trust India. How we can expect a mutual distrust for BRICS to be a machine, to be against the U.S.? No way. That's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, India has already clearly stated about de-dollarization. It has no intent as of now. And
And
yet,
now,
I mean,
and in the foreseeable future.
yeah, and even in, I mean, there are talks about Putin and Xi having a good, understanding. So maybe that would really kick something in terms of, concrete things coming out in China-Russia relations, for that matter. Maybe that's the understanding. Well, let's move into the last, topic that I really want to discuss with you, and to make this video a little shorter than we've already exceeded, is about China's BRI. We all know India has not joined that, but there has been a lot of speculations about BRI not going to progress as envisaged by China. But China has come out with new, policies about GDI and GSI, the Global Development Initiative, and Global Security Initiative. So can you just throw some light for our research students to understand what these two objectives are, and how is BRI going, and what objectives will it be able to reach, in the near future, in the long term? Because anyway, it is there in the constitution. And my proposition has always been that BRI is a long-term objective of China, and it is really going to go ahead. Maybe slow progress as of now, but it is going to move. So what is your thoughts on that?
Some rationale for Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. Some rationale. China need to work with every country, every region in the world economically. China, India, China, Vietnam, China, Pakistan. This is reasonable. And we don't need to have BRI. We can do this. We have been doing this for 60 years. But when we develop the idea, BRI, that's ridiculous. If China were to go to Ukraine from land, we have to pass Mongolia. We have to pass Russia. If Russia still has a war in Damascus, in Usuli River, we cannot reach Ukraine through the land. But that does not prevent China reaching Ukraine from the air, from the sea. We have many ways to reach there. We don't need to build a road and a belt to reach every country, every spot on the earth. So to build a road to reach to every country first is unrealistic. For China-Pakistani road, CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, it's a wrong idea. We can build many economic projects within Pakistan and to make them linked within Pakistan. But we cannot link them to China because the area linking Pakistan and China are geopolitically controversial. This is called Pakistan occupied Kashmir.
Yes.
Why Pakistan occupied? Because Indians believe India occupied Kashmir, China occupied Kashmir, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, all Kashmir, and all Kashmir are a part of British India. Once British India become independent, the entirety of it should become a part of Indian Republic of India. Pakistan has illegally kept apart Kashmir that India accept as a reality, but would never accept as a political correctness. So India would do whatever possible to take it back, and India knows it is impossible. So India's idea, it's Indians, and it's not Pakistan's. India may not be interested in using non-peaceful means to get it back, but hate Pakistan to keep occupying it, and hate and Pakistan to give a part of it to a third party, which is China. So Indians think Pakistan has no right to give Indians land as a gift to a third party. The third party should not step on such a controversial area. When China built a highway, Karakoram Highway, in 1960, from China to Pakistan, China has already invaded Indians' territory because it's political Indian territory. Who gave China's right to invade India? But India has virtually accepted it. Now China would not only build projects in Pakistan, but also maybe highway and railway, Hexie harmonious, and Fuxinghao restoration, 1 hour 400 kilometer speed from China to Pakistan, repeating what it did in 1960. How India can accept China's saying we take no position on disputed area, but virtually China built a road, highway, railway, in addition to airway into it. So India cannot accept. So in my view, when we build all projects physically in Pakistan, no dispute. Linking them geographically together, no dispute. But build projects across the country, which involve a third country, that is a problem. That discredits China for what China promised, taking no position. Building physical infrastructure in a disputed area discredits China's argument. We have taken no position. What if India build a beacon in the China-Japan disputed Diaoyu Island, Senkaku, saying, I have no position, but I just build something, not for China, but for Japan. Would China accept the Indians' argument? We have no position, but we can do something. So
Yes.
in my view, China has done economic partnership with all countries with the world for 60 years. Whenever we have a chance to link the project together without creating a dispute, territorial dispute, it's fine. But if we had a dispute with Soviet Union, it's impossible for China to reach Ukraine on the road because we have to pass through the territory of Soviet Union and Russia. Then it's unnecessary to build a belt and a road. We can build them sporadically, individually, linking them together whenever impossible to link. We don't link. So we should not push the idea of linking together. A belt meaning continuity, continuously. Load means continuously, not a one load, a dash load, one load, like a 9-dash line, which is not continuous. That's my view. We should continue the idea of China's economic partnership with all countries, all regions in the world, but on a case-by-case business, but not to try to link them together. Only if linking them together would not present a territorial challenge, would not involve any third party to disagree, we can do. That's how I would say. When we have such kind of unconditional belt and road initiative, it would be opposed by India. India would not come to Belt and Road summit, and India would take a very negative view on CPEC. Not India. I think all countries in the world would think such a way would be controversial. And they would take a position to sympathize India, not to sympathize China and Pakistan. That's my view. China should build a road to Kyrgyzstan. And there's no dispute for any area, either on the side of China and Kyrgyzstan, because the border is clearly cut between two countries and not disputed by any third country. And then we extend the road from Kyrgyzstan to Pakistan. There is no dispute. The border between Pakistan and Kyrgyzstan is clearly cut. No any third party would challenge. But of course, it depends upon the willingness and agreement of Kyrgyzstan to allow China and Pakistan to build their road through Kyrgyzstan. That creates another vulnerability and instability. So China has to cater Kyrgyzstan's smile. Once they would be offending China, would cut the road, China-Pakistan would have no direct road link. So China may be unwilling to do this undisputed way. So China is willing to do to create a challenge to India, and India would challenge Pakistan and China, and then
Absolutely.
massive advancement. That we do this with more than 100 countries everywhere. That make some country feel upset, and all load from China. That make all major power to think China wants to be a global traffic center. That make China to command global travel, not geographic travel, but also economic travel, business travel, infrastructure travel. And the established global center would feel upset. So we can do it one-on-one, not to say it. We can make it a reality after 50 years. Don't need to say at the beginning. That is my opinion. I accept the rationale. China need to do business with all countries, but I don't think China should do business that would generate a bigger dispute. that would upset established power, that would make established powers to have a collective concern. That's my view.
So basically what you're saying is if China is willing to do business, it's a very good idea with all the countries.
Abandon the idea, relinquish the idea of Belt and Road. But do one-on-one China-Pakistan economic project, China-Maldives economic project. No need to link Pakistan with Maldives. Only if these two countries have the will to link. China should not intend to link them together. Maybe not to link them together would make them to feel more safe.
Yeah, I mean, that's very kind words. I really don't know whether Xi Jinping is also thinking in those lines, because I mean, the BRICS is all in the charter, and that is the push that's coming from China. And as I understand, with the new initiatives that are coming up, it's Belt and Road is not going anywhere. It's going to stay, and it's going to be the bottom line of connections with other countries.
China is not the leader of the world.
Yes.
We should not aspire to be a global leader. We should refuse to be a global leader. Keeping low profile, Tao Guang Yang Hui, for another 100 years. If all countries invite China to be a global leader, we should keep smiling but resolutely say, no, we don't want to be a global leader. This is what I want to say, which should be very careful in promoting China's economic interest without promoting China's strategic interest. We will pay a big cost if we want to use the name of economic mutual benefit to make China one-sided strategic benefit. That would offend Japan, offend the U.S., offend India, offend Australia, offend many countries. It's unnecessary. Let's do it 100 years later.
Oh, so basically, I mean, it's something that China has to learn a bit of modesty and go back to what Tang has already, talked about. Tao Guang Yang Hui, hide your, talents and things like that, and maybe with your strengths which are there, bide your time to come out and take some responsibility position and become the superpower, as maybe the aspirations of some of the Chinese. Yeah, so it was really interesting. Yeah,
that's Deng Xiaoping's wisdom. I don't think it has been out of date.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. I mean, it's really, a lot of insights to what Chinese should do and what Chinese are thinking, how they should really progress in terms of its relations with other countries, especially with India. Thank you, Professor. I mean, taking your time out in your busy schedules. And we have a great talk. I hope my researchers out here in India and many scholars who would be able to see this would learn a lot from really the Chinese scholars and a renowned scholar actually who knows in and out of China, to know what is China's position as of today, what it wants to be, and many of the the complexities that we have in our mind would be rooted out. So thank you very much for your interaction. Thank you to all the viewers, and please hit the like icon and subscribe to our channel for many more such interesting discussions, and we'll continue our interactions. Thank you, Professor.